Hi all, thank you for joining my channel. Today I wanted to talk about everyone's favourite bastard in the Flat Earth community. Of course, this is the ever so honourable Nathan Oakley. His almost daily Flat Earth debates always follow the same format. He brings on a person in the Flat Earth debunking camp and asks for their number one proof that the Earth is a globe. Now, before his interlocutor can finish two words, Nathan will shout fallacy and descend down a steady stream of insults and calling people a retard. Now, there was a fine demonstration of this in a recent discussion between him and Bob the Science Guy. This normally just results in Nathan Oakley showing how much of a dickhead he is, whilst his mindless followers just think it's funny. Now, Nathan has a massive boner for fallacies, and he really loves practicing fellatio. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Now, before getting into Flat Earth, I never really bothered to stop and think about the different fallacies that existed and the different names for them. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent individual who doesn't really need to know the full list of fallacies to understand which arguments are illogical. So when I heard Nathan Oakley and co. talk about these fallacies, I became interested. Well, mainly because I had a sneaky suspicion that Nathan doesn't actually understand them himself. So we're just going to go through a few of the fallacies and see how Nathan uses them to see if it's actually correct and maybe try and understand a bit more about the actual fallacies. First, we have the reification fallacy, which is a logical fallacy where a model or a construct is treated as if it were concrete. Alfred Korzybski succinctly summarizes this in his quote, "A map is not the territory it represents." But he also adds, "But if correct, it has a similar structure to the territory which accounts for its usefulness." Now, Nathan Oakley likes to throw this one around when we talk about the models that physics provide, and in a way he is right. But that's only if you assume that physics is reality. Strictly speaking, physics is a model of reality. And even if the flat Earth model were correct, it would still only be a model of reality, not reality itself. Now, because Nathan appears to be incapable of reading more than the first 3 sentences of a Wikipedia page, he doesn't realize that if your model is corroborated by empirical evidence, then reification is not fallacious. The next one is petitio principii. This is the one known as begging the question. And this is another informal fallacy where Nathan is a big fan of this one, as seen in this clip.
Certainly. On a spherical Earth.
So you've already begged the question, you stupid retard! So you're immediately telling us that it's on a spherical Earth. You utter retard. So on a spherical Earth is by definition begging the question, you stupid retard.
Now here he claims that Bob is begging the question. I have found this one rather funny because Nathan interrupts Bob here, even though prior in the same video, Nathan actually loses his shit over people interrupting him. Now, secondly, there is no begging the question here. This is because there is no logical argument made because Nathan interrupted him before he could finish his sentence. Now, begging the question is an argument where the outcome is assumed in the proposition. For example, in the statement, "I know God is real because it says so in the Bible, which is God's word." Now, this pretty much just says God is real because God is real. Now, begging the question is categorized as an informal fallacy. I don't know what Bob was going to say in that clip because Nathan interrupted him, but maybe there was going to be an argument which actually does beg the question. But it doesn't actually make the statement false. Just because an argument contains a fallacy, its conclusion is not necessarily incorrect. Now, there is a fallacy that Nathan Oakley doesn't appear to be aware of, and that is the argument from fallacy, or the fallacy, which is a fallacy where a conclusion is assumed to be false because one of the supporting statements is fallacious. Now, this is a big no-no. So next we have the argument from ignorance. An argument from ignorance is simple. It asserts that a proposition is true because it hasn't been disproven, or conversely, that a proposition is false because it hasn't been proven. Now look at this clip and tell me whether Nathan's claim that Bob presented an argument from ignorance is actually correct.
You know, if you ask for evidence of rotation, there are certain things that go along with that. All right,
What?
A flat Earth doesn't rotate, does it, Nathan?
Sorry, that would be an argument from ignorance fallacy. How many more fallacies have you got? The Earth, the flat Earth does not rotate.
Don't worry
so
about
are
it.
you going to now challenge me to disprove non-existence?
Yeah, I didn't think so. Nathan also talks about the false equivalence fallacy. This is one where there are two statements with some similarities and are therefore assumed to be equal. For example, cats have hair and mice have hair. Therefore, cats and mice are the same. Now, Nathan accuses Bob of using a false equivalence fallacy in this bit.
That the shortest distance between any 2 points is a great circle route. Now, that can't be on any shape other than a sphere.
False equivalency fallacy.
It's not a false equivalency fallacy.
That cannot be done on any other shape but a sphere. So you're saying, if it's a sphere, then it will work.
Now, can anyone point out to me how Bob's statement is a fallacy on any level, let alone a false equivalence? The final one is one of Nathan's favourites. This is affirming the consequent. Now, Nathan loves to display his own ego by explaining what affirming the consequent is. He will point out the structure of this by saying, if P, then Q, therefore if Q, then P. An example of affirming the consequent is the statement, if Dave fell off a tall building, then he would die. Now, Dave is dead, therefore he fell off a tall building. Now, if we pick this apart, then we see that falling off a tall building is a subset of a larger set, which is called causes of death. Now, if Dave is dead, then he definitely fits in the larger set. But if there is no reason to believe that he fell off a tall building, then we can't be certain that he fits in the smaller subset. Affirming the consequent is a particular fun one when Nathan shouts it, because it always demonstrates his complete lack of listening skills, as is demonstrated in this bit.
So if the Earth is a sphere, let me just formulate it for him. If the Earth is a sphere, then we will see shorter distance of travel between X point and Y point. We see a shorter distance of travel between X point and Y point, therefore the Earth is a sphere. That is called an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy.
It's the route that you take to get to that point over the surface of the Earth is a great circle course, and that only occurs on a sphere.
Yeah, that's what I've just said. That's called an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. If the Earth is a sphere, we will take a shorter distance on this route. We do take a shorter distance on this route, therefore the Earth is a sphere. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P.
Nathan.
Why'd you keep talking over me?
Now, in this bit, Bob makes an argument which I'll briefly paraphrase. It says that only on a sphere is the shortest route between 2 points a great circle route. As the shortest route between 2 points is a great circle route, this is clear evidence that the Earth is a sphere. Now, you see, Nathan rewords Bob's statement and removes a key word, and this is the word only. Now, the removal of this word renders the statement fallacious, but it simultaneously changes Bob's argument. So Nathan's argument now becomes a straw man fallacy, so he can reach a conclusion which is actually an argument from fallacy. Holy shit, I'm actually better at this than Nathan. Now, anyway, I have actually spent too much time on Nathan Oakley's bullshit again, which makes me think that maybe I should do a video on the concept of bullshit in communication, as it is quite an interesting idea. As per usual, just like, subscribe, and tickle my bell so you can get instant updates on my ramblings. So until next time.